My guest is Florence Campbell, founder and board chair of Compassionate Communities Kingston. I'm so glad you came in to tell me about this.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. We're always trying to raise awareness.
And tell me what it is. This is a new one on me.
Well, it's a relatively new concept in Kingston, but it's an international movement that started 25 years ago in Australia, and then it has come to UK and Canada. We're focused on the aging population, older adults, and we want to help us all live as well as we can for as long as we can. We don't provide any health care. We are all volunteer driven. We have a board of directors, and we're a charitable organization. And we provide knowledge, information, and education.
Okay, so how do you do that? There's 3 different prongs of this, so what are those?
We have 3 projects that we're working with.
Okay.
One is advanced care planning. One is community connectors, training citizens to connect people to services in the community. And the third one is a relatively new pilot project called Talking Cafes. It's in partnership with the library. And what we're hoping to do are find innovative ways to provide seniors with opportunity to connect socially, because we're trying to tackle loneliness and social isolation.
That is a big thing, isn't it? I've heard it's health-wise, it's the equivalent of smoking a pack of cigarettes a day or something like that.
Yeah,
that it's crippling. It's
an epidemic worldwide, it seems. It's a big subject, and so we're trying to find ways. And sometimes it's very hard to reach those people who are truly socially isolated. And so we're working hard at that.
I think you can become used to being socially isolated, so it doesn't occur to you. And well, what I have learned, because I moved to Kingston, the first person I met was a real estate agent, so you can imagine what this was like. And you learn very quickly, people are not going to knock on your door and say, oh, Donna, come for a cup of coffee. You have to be the one to go out there and find a group, find the people yourself. And so you make this possible by get together, have a cup of coffee, and
talk about whatever subject the audience wants to talk about. But we did start in 2017 with providing education on advanced care planning.
Okay.
And now about 700 citizens have taken our training courses.
I did.
I know. I know. And yet we have a long way to go. A lot of people really don't want to talk about this subject.
You know, I've mentioned that to people, and they say, oh, too depressing, or, I don't even want to think about that. Well, you better think about that. And I looked at it as very empowering.
You're absolutely right, Donna. We have people who tell us that when they have an advanced care plan, it's a gift they give to their family to prevent family feuds, relationship breakdowns, peace of mind. I've got all my plans in place. And it's not just about having a will, because wills are for when you're dead.
That's right.
This is about what kind of plans should you put in place for potential future health care needs. Who will speak for you if you can't speak for yourself? Have you chosen an alternate, perhaps, in case they can't act? You know, we had a couple come to the session during COVID on Zoom with the library. We did them. And they suddenly realized that they had each other as their substitute decision maker. And what happened if they both ended up in the hospital with COVID and couldn't act for each other? So then they realized in this session that they should have an alternate, hopefully someone from a younger generation.
Yeah, really. I did not pick my best friend. I picked the one that I think makes the best decisions.
Exactly.
And it's someone who could balance and look at what I had left, the information I had left, and say, would that be tolerable for Donna? Is that how she would want to live, to make those kinds of decisions? And sometimes I think your families are not the best ones to do that. They get the emotion comes into it. And if you haven't done this, imagine that you've got one child saying, oh, this is what we're going to do, the other one saying, but no one is able to say, this is what Mom wanted.
I'm glad you brought that up, because what we tell people is that whoever you choose as your substitute decision maker isn't making decisions on their own. They are just implementing your decisions your wishes. So sometimes in a family there are 3 children and one is chosen and the other 2 can get annoyed because why wasn't I chosen? But if they all know what's going on and they know that the one who's chosen isn't making up her own decisions, she's respecting the person for whom she has this power of attorney, she's respecting their wishes and their decisions. So the first thing is the substitute decision maker. Who do you trust? Second thing is, what are your wishes? Make sure they know what your wishes are. And third thing is communicate, so that everybody's on the same page for peace of mind and minimizing family feuds.
And it also points out that what would be tolerable for one person is not for another. I remember one story I heard, and it was this fellow who was not going to get better, and it was a chronic condition, and he's not going to die, but he's not going to get better. As long as he could watch football and eat chocolate ice cream every day, he was happy. Just shoot me now if somebody said I had to watch football and eat chocolate ice cream. I mean, just shoot me. But but for that, so I don't have the right to say that that's not any kind of quality of life, because it's your choice.
That's absolutely right. You should be giving these courses with us.
And I remember it also got into what would be acceptable to you and what wouldn't. And there are things that I had not thought about, like defibrillation. Would that be okay? Would oxygen be okay? Would a blood transfusion be okay? But it forces you to look at each one of those things and say, all right, imagine that this is what they're telling me I need. Is it okay with me?
Yeah, and we have a guide with about 36 different wishes on them to help you, because it's not easy to think about all these things. And so, we make you prioritize them in very important, somewhat important, or not important at all. And then you feel good when you've got that done, and you can change it at any time as your wishes change, as life goes on, and so on. So we're very pleased that we put 700 Kingstonians through these courses. 80% of Canadians feel we should all have an advanced care plan. About only 30% have even thought about it. Most of the people who come to our sessions are older adults. We'd love to get the next generation to attend, but so far it's a bit tough to do.
Well, it's not their priority, and it's hard to think of your last days when you're in your 30s and 40s.
But you can get hit by a bus at any age.
You sure can. You sure can. I had a will done up about a couple of years ago, and now part of the package is that you have a power of attorney for financial and one for health. They don't necessarily have to be the same people. They don't even have to be the same as your executor of your will.
That's right.
So it's a little bit, it helps a little bit, but it still doesn't get down to the nitty-gritty. Mm-hmm. And how laws are changing as far as medical assistance in dying. How are you tackling that?
We don't. We're all volunteers. We're really not qualified to talk about that subject. That's a very complicated subject, and it's becoming increasingly important. But we don't feel qualified. That's something you talk with your doctor or an expert. And that brings me to, in the new year, we have a nice partnership with the library, and they're starting a series of 6 sessions for older adults called Aging Well. And one of them is they've got a speaker coming on MAID. So you can watch for the library's calendar of events to see in the future. And we're partnering with them in these series, but so they're going to have different ones like fraud prevention, any subject that they believe is of interest to older adults.
That is, what a great idea.
But it's improper for us to talk about MAID.
I think it's in the context of what would be tolerable for you? What kind of life where you want your decision maker to start thinking about that? What would work for you? Like I said,
you can at this point in time, the legislation is that you have to be cognitively competent at the time. Nobody else can make that decision for you.
Right, and that's
I don't know how the laws will change in the future, but at the moment you have to be capable at the time to make that decision.
Yeah,
but we don't talk
about you don't get into that. But this other sounds fabulous. It sounds like a great idea, and it's going to start in the January?
Yeah.
In the new year.
They're on the website, the library website, the calendar of events for the Kingston Frontenac Public Library.
And can we find it through your website as well?
Not yet, but we will put.
But you will put it up there?
That's right.
So
Yeah.
you've got two choices. Go either to the library website or to your website. And what is your website?
www.compassionatekingston.ca.
So what other services?
Well, another project that we have is called Community Connectors. And we are training citizens to help neighbors, friends, colleagues find services in the community that they don't know about. In other words, people say, I don't know where to turn. I don't know how to navigate the system. And so we hand out a card which has 7 different community services directories listed on this
Terrific.
card. And if each one of our community connectors makes 6 connections a year, if we could train 1,000 citizens, that would be 6,000 people in this area that would have more knowledge of where to find services when they need them, be it an exercise program, some sort of other health support.
Anything.
Anything that's available in all these databases. We're also trying to find gaps in system.
Oh, that would be good.
So that's going to take a long time, but we're working
Right.
on it.
And then you've got the library is running a course of for aging.
Aging well.
Aging well. That's coming up. Find that on the website or on your website.
That's right.
Thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you again for the opportunity. We appreciate it.